Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night. Depending on where you are in this world, God bless you. This is Gloria White coming to you from Utah, USA. Today we're going to be in Through the Bible in chapter 11. I had started it yesterday and I had to beg out because I wasn't feeling well. I have an appointment with a new doctor tomorrow, so hopefully he can find some answers on why I'm so tired and not feeling well. One of the things I found out from the urgent care was that my anemia has gotten worse. Now, the weird part is that no one ever told me I have anemia. The other thing I was told is that I have stage 3 kidney disease, and that was told to me at the urgent care as well. And my doctor never told me that. And he always has his nurses call to give the results, and I always ask them, well, what was the lab, and oh, everything was good, everything was fine. Everything isn't fine, and they're lying, and that's like medical malpractice, and I can hardly believe that's happening. I've been with this doctor since 2007, and it's just hard to imagine that someone would not tell you that you're anemic or not tell you that you have stage 3 kidney disease so that you would not be eating the things. And I found out I'm eating all the things that I shouldn't be eating. Peanut butter, whey protein. I'm like, I'm like blown away. So, I suggest to anyone who's getting elderly and is still in their right mind, or has a parent who's elderly, that they should get power of attorney so that they can go to their doctor's office or their medical record department and request copies of their lab reports so that they can see, because it'll clearly tell you if something's high or low out of the normal range. And then you'll be aware. And then you can talk to the doctor concerning that whole thing. I mean, is this why I've been sleeping so much that I'm just exhausted, that I get so out of breath just, reading? It's ridiculous. I was just watching a nursing home. Well, actually, it was an assisted living place, and how they wanted to keep the bare minimum of staff there, how they weren't trained to take care of patients with dementia or Alzheimer's, and how their workers kept complaining to the main office, and basically some quit because nothing was being done. Others were fired for complaining about the care, and several people died, some in just awful ways. They just weren't being taken care of at all. So I'd like to say to you, if you have an elderly parent in a nursing home or an assisted living place, make sure that you sit them up and look at their back. See if there are pressure sores because they haven't been turning them. Look at their buttocks. Look down the back of their legs, and especially at their heels, where your heel would be on the bed. And when you're not moved, when you're just laying in a bed, that pressure, continuous pressure, can cause severe pressure sores. And if they aren't cleaned, and the person isn't being kept clean, they can get a strep infection that can go systemic, and cause them to have further health problems. So don't be afraid to look and check your parent out and make sure that they're not getting bruises, that they're eating, that they aren't losing a lot of weight. And you can take their skin and do this and tell if they're dehydrated. If you can pull their skin up like this, and it stays up, pulled up like that, they're terribly dehydrated, which means nobody's seeing to the fact that they need to have water. They're not making sure that they're eating, and they're not making sure that they get water. And the problem with people with dementia is that they don't know that they need to eat. They don't have the mental capacity to say, "Oh, I'm hungry, let me eat something," or even to remember how to feed themselves or how to get something to drink and drink without having help to drink. They don't drink, and they can become dehydrated, and that could cause problems with their kidneys and other problems. So if you have someone in a living facility, or assisted living, or someone in a nursing home, you do not be afraid to check their body when you go to make sure that they are being kept clean, that they are being turned and they're not getting sores, pressure sores. You can look that up online to know what they look like so you'll know what you're looking for. And make sure that they haven't lost a lot of weight, that they're eating their food, and that they're drinking liquids, that they're not dehydrated. And you have to check that every time you go. You can't just trust that the people that you've entrusted your parent or your loved one to are doing what they're supposed to be doing. There's just a lot of neglect and a lot of the problem is that like the largest one, and I won't mention the name, but the largest facility, the largest money-making facility, doesn't have a proper staff, doesn't have a staff that's trained how to care for dementia and Alzheimer's patients and how they should be in a nursing home versus assisted living. And if they can't walk around well in a walker or they're in a wheelchair, they need to be in a nursing home. If they're taking lots of medications, they need to be in a nursing home, not in an assisted living. Assisted living is for people that are still moving around, doing their thing, playing cards, talking, going for walks, this kind of thing. Assisted living, look it up. But it's something that, especially now where we're so short on workers, that if you have your parents or someone that you love in a living assisted living or in a nursing home, you need to check on them and make sure that they're being cared for. And just go around and look and check that the windows can't just be opened on the second floor for them to fall out. And then look around and see if you see like bottles of medication sitting out where they can get into that. People with dementia and Alzheimer's are like little children, like 2-year-olds. They can't tell you what's wrong. They can't tell you if something's bothering them, but they can withdraw. And you may find your loved one in a fetal position because of the way that they're not being cared for or talked to, and they might not bring their food in there, put it down, come back 2 hours later, oh, they didn't need it, well, and just take it away. So you have to be responsible to monitor those facilities to make sure they are doing what they are supposed to do. And your eyes and ears are so important in making sure that your parent or your loved one, maybe it's a child that's been in a terrible accident, with a brain injury, whatever it is, you need to make sure and be responsible, and don't say, well, I never even thought about it. It never occurred to me to pull the sheets back and look at her legs or her back or her arms or, you know, you're going to have to be responsible, and you are going to have to think of these things. You can't just slough it off. And I was listening to some of the family members. They were like totally oblivious that anything like that could even be happening. And it's like that, I think, for a lot of people, because they're charging them thousands of dollars to house them there, to provide excellent care. And people are paying these large amounts of money thinking they're buying the best possible care for their loved one, so they can have peace of mind that their loved one is given proper care and is being looked after in the way that they should be looked after like you'd be looking after them if you were able, So this world is getting more wicked every day, and it just doesn't seem to be an end in sight. But there is an end. And when he comes, yes, he will take us home, and then he's going to put an end to it with the sword of his mouth, two-edged sword. He's coming back as a warrior in a vesture dripping in blood, and that'll be from the wine press of all the evil people, where the blood runs 969,000 feet. Yeah, and up to the horse's bridle. So, just know, you gotta hang on till the end. That's what it says. That's what the book says. And he who hangs on until the end, well, that's not the exact wording, but he who stays there, what is it? There's a certain wording for that. Hold on a second. It's he who endures till the end will be saved. Oh my goodness. I couldn't think of the word. But anyway, now I want to go well, let's just end this video. We'll just call it a chat. But, when you see something and it's not right, and you know that people can be hurt because they're not aware, even though they may have the best intentions on the planet for their loved one, if they're not aware of the possibilities of the neglect that could happen to their loved one, I have to speak this. I have to speak this truth. I have to say it. I have to warn you, or the blood will be on my head. And I can't fathom that. To think that there's an elderly man or woman out there that if I had said something to the people who were caring for them, who were relatives to them, that they would know to do the things that I mentioned to you as far as looking after their loved one, to make sure that their diapers being changed, that they're being showered, that they're not laying in the bed in one position, that they're eating their food and that they're getting stuff to drink, that they're getting their medication that they're supposed to be taking. All of these things, it's your responsibility to make sure those things are happening. And so, and as always, I love you.